looking to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Good evening, I'm Alma Angeles, and you're watching ASEAN in Focus on tonight's headlines. A devastating inferno has struck a small apparel factory nestled within a residential area in the Philippines, leaving behind a heart-wrenching toll of 15 lives lost. Firefighters faced a daunting challenge as they battled not only flames but also a perfect storm of obstacles, floodwaters, traffic snarls, and a mix-up in location details, as explained by a fire protection official. Moving on to our next story, flood warnings have been sounded across several regions in the country as the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, alerts citizens to the intensification of the southwest monsoon, also known as Habagat. Adding to this complex weather scenario is the influence of severe tropical storm Hana, internationally recognized as Haikui. Shifting our focus, Indonesian and American forces have come together in a display of unity, commencing a series of joint exercises. These exercises are aimed at fostering regional stability and collaboration. And finally, an earthquake with a magnitude of 5.4 on the Richter scale sent tremors through the eastern Indonesian island of Timor on Thursday. Residents quickly sought refuge outdoors in response to the jolts, highlighting the unpredictability of nature's forces. A devastating fire engulfed a small apparel factory in a Philippine residential area on Thursday, resulting in the tragic loss of 15 lives. Firefighters were hampered in their efforts by a combination of challenges, including flooding, traffic congestion, and a communication error regarding the address, according to the fire protection official. The victims, primarily factory workers and carpenters, were caught unaware as the fire broke out during the early hours of Thursday morning. Now, many were discovered lifeless along an aisle adjacent to their sleeping quarters. Shockingly, the factory owner and their child were among the fatalities, as confirmed by Chief Superintendent Nahum Taroza of the Bureau of Fire Protection. In the midst of this chaos, 3 individuals managed to escape with injuries by leaping from the second floor of the 2-story factory. These survivors were promptly transported to a nearby hospital for medical attention. A series of unfortunate events contributed to the delayed arrival of firefighters, extending the response time by around 14 minutes. Monsoon-season rainfall and gusty winds led to flooding and traffic bottlenecks, complicating the swift deployment of emergency services. Moreover, a mix-up in the address further hindered the timely arrival of firefighters, a situation that Chief Superintendent Taroza has committed to investigating. After 2 hours of relentless effort, firefighters managed to extinguish the blaze that consumed the Pleasant View residential enclave in Tandangsora village, located in the suburban expanse of Quezon City. An ongoing investigation is delving into the cause of the fire and potential breaches of safety regulations by the factory owner, as stated by local officials. It has come to light that the factory stored combustible materials and textiles used in apparel production, in addition to printing designs on shirts intended for business promotions. Now, staying in the country, flood warnings have been issued across several Philippine regions today by the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA. The warnings are attributed to the intensification of the southwest monsoon known as Habagat, further amplified by severe tropical storm Hana, also referred to as Haikui.
So dahil dito, makikita natin na napakalayo pa ng bagyong si Hana, bagamat makapal ang kumpol na kaulapan na dala nito, ay wala pa rin nakataas na warning signal sa anumang bahagi nating bansa at wala pa itong direktang epekto sa mga oras nito sa anumang bahagi nating bansa. Malayo pa rin sa kalupaan nating bansa sa layong 455 kilometers northeast ng Itbayat, Batanes. Bagamat nasa loob ng PAR, malayo pa rin sa kalupaan nating bansa. Sa darating naman na linggo ng umaga, makikita natin halos nasa northern boundary na ng ating area of responsibility o sa layo naman na 490 kilometers north ng Itbayat, Batanes. At sa darating naman na Lunes ng umaga, makikita nga natin na halos nandito na siya sa area ng southeastern part ng China. Sa layong 805 kilometers northwest ng extreme northern Luzon or nasa vicinity ng Fujian, China. So makikita po natin dito sa ating forecast track, maging yung area of probability, yung parang apa na picture ng ating forecast track, ay hindi tatama sa anumang bahagi ng ating bansa. Subalit, hindi lamang si Hana yung minomonitor natin. Kung makikita natin sa ating latest satellite imagery, bukod sa bagyong si Hana, may dalawa pang bagyo na nasa loob ng ating area of responsibility. Yung typhoon na si Saula, yung dating bagyong si Goring, at ito ang severe tropical storm na may international name na Kirogi. So bagamat malayo yung tatlong bagyo sa kalupaan ng ating bansa, mapapansin natin yung kumpul na kaulapan, patuloy na pinag-iibayaw ang habagat or southwest monsoon. Makikita natin dito sa simulation ng surface wind sa susunod na 5 araw, Ito yung bagyong si Saula, yung dating Goring, tinatayang pagkilos. Ito naman yung bagyong si Hana, na sa ngayon nasa loob nating area of responsibility. At mapapansin natin yung inaasahang hangin na iiral sa ating bansa sa susunod na 2 hanggang 3 araw ay magmumula pa rin sa timog kanluran. Patuloy ang pagpapaibayo ng habagat nitong dalawang weather system na to, bukod pa dun sa severe tropical storm dito nga sa may bandang karagatang Pasipiko. Samantala, bukas naman, 50 to 100 mm, Abra, Benguet, Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Bulacan, Rizal, Cavite at Batangas. Ngayong araw hanggang bukas naman, posibleng umabot ng 100 to 200 mm of rain mararanasan Metro Manila, Zambales, Bataan, Occidental, Mindoro. Samantala, darating naman na linggo, yung 50 to 100 mm of rain, inaasahan po natin sa Abra, Benguet, Tarlac, dito sa Nueva Ecija, ganun din sa Pampanga, sa Bulacan, sa Rizal, sa Cavite, Batangas, dito sa Northern Palawan kasama ang Cuyo at Calamian Island at sa lalawigan ng Antique. Sa linggo naman, yung 100 to 200 mm of rain, asahan pa rin Metro Manila, Ilocos Region, Zambales, Bataan at Occidental Mindoro. At ang lahat po, pinapayang pa rin maging alerto sa mga posibleng pagbaha, lalong-lalo yung mga nakatira sa mga low-lying areas. Sa mga areas na malapit po sa gilid ng ilog, baka umahapaw po yung ilog dahil sa patuloy na pag-ulan sa inyong lugar at pwede rin magdulot ng pagbaha sa mga komunidad na nasa gilid ng ilog. Ganon din yung mga pagguho ng lupa, lalong-lalo na kung ilang araw nang umuulan sa inyong lugar na malapit po sa mga paanan ng bundok.
In response to the concerning surge in retail prices of rice across the market, President Marcos Jr. has taken a significant step by enforcing mandated price ceilings on rice across the entirety of the country. Now, this announcement was made by Malacanang today under the provisions of Executive Order 39, which was signed by the President through Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin. On August 31, the joint recommendation of the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Trade and Industry to establish price ceilings on rice in the Philippines has been approved. EO 39, unveiled to the public on Friday, will be enforced immediately upon its publication in the official gazette or a newspaper of general circulation.
Okay.
Nilalagay lang natin yung highest price. Pwede sila magbenta ng mas mababa, pero nilalagay natin ng ceiling para maiwasan yung nangyayaring manipulasyon sa merkado, na kahit na merong supply, tumataas yung presyo. Nakita natin kasi, itong mga nakarang araw, biglang sumipa yung taas yung mga nakaraang araw o linggo, steady lang at may konting pagtaas. Tapos biglang sumipa. Kasama na rin dito yung titignan natin kung merong nagmi-mislabel. Gusto ko lang linawin na ang price cap, hindi sa lahat ng rice ito, para lang sa regular milled rice na sineset na 41 pesos per kilo ang price ceiling at saka well-milled rice. Meron tayong mga premium varieties na hindi covered ng Price Act. Ang sisiguraduhin din natin na hindi na may mislabel yung subject, yung type ng rice na regular milled rice o well-milled rice, hindi na may mislabel na premium type. Sa Price Act, meron tayong dalawang seksyon na nagbibigay ng penalty. Yung sa level ng mga retailers, yung magbabiolate ng price ceiling ay merong inaatas ang batas na Price Act ng penalty ng imprisonment of not less than 1 year nor more than 10 years. Or a fine of not less than 5,000 pesos, not more than not less than 5,000, but no more than 1 million pesos. Doon naman sa magmamanipulate, sa mga suppliers sa magmamanipulate through hoarding or catalyzation, ang parusa naman dyan, 5 years minimum, up to 15 years imprisonment, and fine of 5,000, not more than 2 million.
To Thailand now, where Thaksin Shinawatra, the jailed former prime minister, has requested a royal pardon. The 74-year-old billionaire, who was twice elected prime minister and ousted in a 2006 military coup, returned to Thailand last week after 15 years in self-exile. He was immediately sent to prison to serve an 8-year sentence for graft and abuse of power. The timing of Thaksin's pardon request has sparked speculation that a backroom deal has been struck to cut his jail time. His Pheu Thai party returned to government in alliance with several pro-military parties, and some observers believe that this could be a quid pro quo for Thaksin's release. However, Thai Justice Minister has said that the pardon process is purely based on royal grace and that it is up to King Maha Vajiralongkorn to decide whether to grant it. The process typically takes 1 to 2 months, but it could be longer in this case due to the political sensitivities involved. Thaksin is a polarizing figure in Thailand. He is loved by many rural Thais for his populist policies, but he is also reviled by the country's royalist and pro-military establishment. His return to Thailand has reignited the country's political divisions, and it remains to be seen whether he will be granted a pardon.
ก็คิดว่ามันมีน้ำหนักตรงที่ว่าทำให้สวบางคนหรือสสบางคนอยากจะไปอยู่ใต้อำนาจของเขาก็ได้เพราะเขาก็ยังมีเงินมีอิทธิพลคำว่าเงินทำให้ได้ทุกอย่างบันดาลได้ทุกอย่างจริงๆตรงนี้แล้ว
ก็ดีใจอะค่ะดีใจคิดว่าเขาน่าจะทำประโยชน์ให้ประเทศได้บ้างเพราะว่าสมัยก่อนน่ะจากที่ประเทศติดหนี้ติดอะไรอย่างเงี้ยเขาก็ช่วยได้ใช่ไหม
Singaporean and Vietnamese companies are poised to gain further benefits from the continued growth of the Vietnam-Singapore Industrial Parks, or VSIPs, as Sembcorp Development announced plans to expand its portfolio by adding 4 new parks. The expansion will bring to the total number of VSIPs to 17, was announced by Sembcorp Development, a wholly owned subsidiary of Sembcorp Industries, a listed provider by Energy and Urban Solutions in Singapore. Now, the announcement was made at an event in Hanoi, Vietnam, attended by Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong and his Vietnamese counterpart, Phan Minh Jin. Now, VSIPs have been a key part of the economic cooperation between Singapore and Vietnam since their inception in 1996. In his address at the event, Prime Minister Lee emphasized that the story of the VSIPs is one of continuous innovation and progress. He also said that the new parks will help to further strengthen the economic ties between Singapore and Vietnam and will create new opportunities and businesses and workers in both countries.
Now there are a total of 13 industrial parks across 9 provinces in northern, central, and southern Vietnam. Altogether, the VSIP projects span over 11,000 hectares with more than 900 tenants, $18 billion worth of capital investments, and close to 300,000 jobs. Today, we witness the addition of new VSIP projects to the expanding portfolio and the groundbreaking ceremonies for several further VSIP projects. And this reflects the strong partnership between Singapore and Vietnam and our shared confidence in Vietnam's growth and future. Indeed, the VSIP is a story of continuous innovation and progress. For example, the first VSIP in Bin Dung focused on light manufacturing. Then, Bin Dung 2 featured modern logistics facilities. And now, Bin Dung 3 will be a smart and green industrial park with an on-site solar farm. and it will incorporate smart technology across the farm's operations and meet Singapore's green mark for industrial districts. I'm happy to note that Binjong 3 will be home to Lego Group's first carbon-neutral factory in the world. It's my hope that the VSIP projects continue to contribute and stay relevant to Vietnam's economic development and its industrial transformation.
A recognition ceremony held at Malacanang Palace. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. presented prestigious honors to two distinguished government officials for their exceptional dedication to the nation and its people. President Marcos led the awarding of the Order of National Scientists to Dr. Carmencita Padilla, as well as the Presidential Medal of Merit to Trade Assistant Secretary Alan Jepti. President Marcos highlighted Dr. Padilla's remarkable contributions in the realm of genetics.
And commend her for her instrumental role in the passage of RA 9288, or the Newborn Screening Act, which has saved thousands of babies across the country from mental retardation and from death. Not only that, Dr. Padilla's work was also vital in the crafting and passage of another law, Republic Act 10747, or the Rare Diseases Act of 2016. More recently, Dr. Padilla spearheaded the establishment of the Philippine Genome Center, which played an essential role during the COVID-19 pandemic.
During the ceremony, President Marcos emphasized the importance of government support for research and development in various domains, including health, science, and technology.
I ask all of those who are involved that we need to now be very conscientious and put together a program wherein we can support in whatever way that the government can on research and development. I have asked Dr. Padilla to put together a program so that will include, well, the DTI is here, DOST and DOH specifically. We put together a program so we can support such activities as we have been speaking about in terms of R&D and of actually bringing that technology to the general populace.
Now, Trade Assistant Secretary Alan Jepti was also lauded by the President for his pivotal role in the negotiations concerning the ratification of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, a significant economic agreement in the region.
Meanwhile, we also commend Assistant Secretary Jepti for being an invaluable force in the negotiations and the eventual ratification of that most important treaty, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, which has included now the Philippines into the biggest trade bloc in the world. They should open opportunities for Filipinos and the Philippine companies to export trade and services to a market exceeding 2 billion people that are within the RCEP region. Under the RCEP, the Philippines will be able to source raw materials and intermediate goods from fellow RCEP countries, process products locally, and then export those products back out to other RCEP countries at a preferential rate. Our participation in RCEP will strengthen our linkages in regional supply chains and serve as a catalyst for attracting more foreign direct investments into the country.
But I think what is more important now is how are we going to use this information that we gathered through the years to reach the ordinary Filipino. And in my conversation with the President, he said that, that is what we're going to work on. That research does not remain in the laboratory, but the next step now is how do we bring it down to the community.
But this award actually is not just a recognition of my accomplishments and achievements. This is a recognition of my team's efforts, particularly in the negotiation, conclusion, and defense also of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement.
Now, the Philippines has emphatically rejected China's updated map for the year 2023, a contentious revision that introduces a novel 10-dash line delineating China's territorial claims within the South China Sea. Now, this move has met resistance not only from the Philippines, but also from India and Malaysia, as the new map infringes upon their respective territories. Issued by China's Ministry of Natural Resources on August 28, the map, published in Beijing's state-owned Global Times newspaper, asserts control over a substantial portion of the South China Sea. And this includes the Philippines' exclusive economic zone in the West Philippine Sea. Additionally, the map lays claim to Taiwan, India's northeastern state of Arunachal Pradesh, and Aksai Chin region as part of China's jurisdiction. The Philippines Department of Foreign Affairs swiftly responded, rebuking China's map as a baseless attempt to legitimize its sovereignty assertions. Citing the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, the DFA emphasized that this move contradicts established international legal norms. However, China remains steadfast in its refusal to accept the tribunal's ruling. Philippine senators have swiftly reacted, expressing concern and asserting the nation's stance on this matter.
Aggressive expansion. Hanggang doon lang tayo sa filing of diplomatic protest. Siguro, execute na natin yung sinabi ko last year, yung joint patrol, Japan, US, Australia, Philippines. Kaya unahin natin tong Maritime Zone Bill. Unahin natin yung Maritime Zone Bill kasi yung 10-dash line papunta na ng Batanes. Tingnan nyo.
Condemn and to appeal to China not to follow that ridiculous 10-dash line because it violates the sovereignty of not only the Philippines now, but several countries all around the region. Sinakop na nila po yung India, merong border dispute din sila sa India at officially naglabas na po sila ng mapa at may kinain din silang lupa sa India. Biro mo, India at China magkasama sa BRICS.
President Marcos Jr. is poised to advocate for a rules-based international order within the South China Sea during the upcoming Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit, scheduled for September 5 to the 7th in Jakarta. Foreign Affairs Assistant Secretary for ASEAN Affairs, Daniel Espiritu, affirmed the leaders' participation.
Furthermore, the President will continue to promote a rules-based international order, including the 92 UNCLOS, especially in the South China Sea. The Philippines will continue to uphold and exercise freedom of navigation and overflight in the South China Sea in accordance with international law. The leaders are expected to discuss various international issues that impact the region and beyond. These include the situation in Myanmar, the conflict in Ukraine, as well as geopolitical rivalries in the Indo-Pacific region. To date, over 90 outcome documents are being targeted to be issued, adopted, or noted during the summits.
Thousands of Indonesian and American troops have commenced a series of joint exercises aimed at promoting stability in the region. In a display of cooperation, Indonesian and American military forces have embarked on a 2-week-long joint exercise commencing on Thursday. And this collaborative effort includes participation from allies representing 5 countries, all with a common goal of ensuring stability in the Asia-Pacific region. While concerns regarding China's heightened assertiveness in the Pacific have been voiced by the U.S. and its Asian partners, Washington has explicitly stated that these exercises are not directed at any specific nation. Marking the annual Super Garuda Shield exercises, the event was inaugurated in Baluran, East Java. The drills have attracted more than 2,000 American troops who have joined their Indonesian counterparts in this endeavor.
Human and procedural interoperability that gets developed here that will carry us through competition, crisis, and God forbid, conflict. That's why it's important that we're here, that we might come to work better together, as Panglima said, to professionalize ourselves by learning from one another. There's so much that we in my army can learn from being here from the Indonesian military.
An earthquake measuring 5.4 on the Richter scale jolted the eastern Indonesian island of Timor on Thursday, generating tremors that caused residents to rush outdoors in search of safety. Despite the intensity of the quake, there have been no reported casualties or damage thus far. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the seismic event originated at a depth of approximately 54.6 kilometers, occurring northwest of Timor Island near the city of Kupang at approximately 6:30 p.m. local time. The effects of the tremor were most pronounced in Kupang City, located on Timor Island, a region that is shared between Indonesian territory in the west and sovereign nation of East Timor in the east. Residents recounted the shaking of their residences, prompting them to quickly evacuate to open spaces as a precautionary measure. However, despite the panic, no instances of harm or structural damage have been reported. An AFP journalist situated in Kupang described the duration of the earthquake to be around 1 minute, revealing that chairs were in motion and indoor lamps were swaying. Initial assessments from the nation's geophysics agency suggested a magnitude of 6.1, which was later revised down to 5.9. U.S. Ambassador to Japan, Rahm Emanuel, voiced his support for Fukushima's fisheries sector during a visit to a local port on Thursday. His trip followed Japan's release of treated water from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant into the ocean. Engaging with officials from the Soma Futaba Fishery Cooperative, Emanuel learned about efforts to restore fish catch levels since the 2011 disaster. He later enjoyed locally caught seafood at a nearby restaurant and purchased fish and seaweed from a market. The ambassador's visit showcased his solidarity with Fukushima's determined fishers. He stressed the safety of local seafood and encouraged broader support for the region's fishing industry.
China's blatant political actions and acts of economic coercion change the dimension of this trip. Japan has, over a decade, has done exactly the right things in the right way. Second, if any one of the qualities of scientific rigor, international cooperation, and full transparency had been adopted by China during the COVID crisis, lives would have been saved.
And as we conclude this program, we'd like to leave you with a captivating visual treat of stunning snapshots of the mesmerizing supermoon that have recently graced our skies. Take a moment to appreciate the celestial beauty. Let's have a look. My usual habit, I'd like to end the week on a positive note. Let's encourage and build each other up so that no one is left behind. And that's it for tonight's broadcast. I'm Alma Angela. Stay in the news because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.